News time.
We're getting some spicy news.
Yes.
There is quite a range
Yeah,
of
there is.
discussions here.
There is.
I think it's like what we said a couple of months back. With Spider-Verse getting a lot of news right now, every other thing that's not connected to it's kind of like, I would like to make some noise, please.
Yeah, don't forget about us.
Yeah.
We're still here.
So starting off with, Sam Raimi
Mm.
is apparently interested in bringing Ra's al Ghul into James Gunn's DCU. I'm really curious to see how that would work.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sam Raimi likes a bit more of a, I don't want to say horror, but more horror than traditional comic book media style. Like, he likes a little bit of a creepiness to what he does, which could work really well with Ra's al Ghul. But
Yeah.
I, as a general rule, don't like films where the villain is the main character. I think it sends the wrong message.
Fair. I think it could be interesting to see how he'd want to do it, and I suppose it like until we kind of see what sort of universe James Gunn's going to build out, and like how the tone of these different films, it's hard to see how that would fit in. Maybe.
But I mean, we know that we're getting Damian Wayne.
Yeah.
So I mean, Damian Wayne is Ra's al Ghul's grandson.
So maybe that's how they tie it in.
One thing I will say is, while I did not dislike Christopher Nolan and Liam Neeson's version of Ra's al Ghul, please do not whitewash him again. The man's name is Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
He has lived for centuries. He is from the Middle East. He is not white. He does not look like Liam Neeson, who comes from Ireland.
Yeah. Thinking about
that is a big thing we need to do better this time.
Yeah, and I trust in James Gunn to make sure those sort of things don't happen.
Yes.
Rethinking about like how this could fit in, maybe it's a thing down the line where we know we're getting Damian Wayne. Like maybe the film is like his Ra's al Ghul trying to like influence it. Like there's a film around them too, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to remember the first phase is called Gods and Monsters, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or Monsters and Gods.
Yeah.
You could argue that
Ra's al Ghul's a god.
Yeah, he fits right into that. He's a monster who thinks he's a god.
Also in Sam Raimi news, which I've realised we didn't put on here, have you seen that he's pitted to maybe be the new Secret Wars director?
Yes.
And people were very excited to hear that.
I like the idea of him directing it. I'm as long as they, at the minute, the writer apparent for Secret Wars is Michael Waldron, who wrote Multiverse of Madness. And everyone's kind of under the same opinion that the thing that hurt Multiverse of Madness the most was the quality of the writing. So people are like, yes, let Sam Raimi direct it. Do not let Michael Waldron write it.
Yeah,
which isn't apparently locked in. So he might not be writing it. So we might get what we want.
True. I do think it's good in the sense of like, we're seeing that Kevin seems to be struggling with finding directors for these projects that he can trust enough to manage them.
Yeah.
And at least Sam Raimi has proven himself to be, at least to Kevin, that he can manage like these projects. So
yeah,
potentially a good thing if he gets to be part of it.
Yeah. And as stupid as it sounds, I think the writer strikes are going to help Marvel to get a grip on this again, because it's going to force them to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, it is.
As we were discussing a little bit. Which means they can focus on getting each project right and dropped. Because when everyone saw that timeline for phase 4, 5, and 6, everyone went, that seems very condensed. And then we got the first batch of delays because of Blade fuck ups. And now with the writer's strike, I think it's all going to work itself out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Now, as much love as I'm going to give across the Spider-Verse, and while Sony do technically run that, Sony still get no love because they continue to fuck up. Madam Web,
Yes.
the film that we routinely forget about because it is the most bizarre film to ever be made. The cast is just getting weirder and weirder.
Yep.
So Sydney Sweeney is joining Sony's Madam Web film as Julia Carpenter, who is a Spider Woman.
Okay.
Now, I am all for female-led films. However, it seems like Madam Web is just trying to hire all of the actresses who would be described in them trashy articles and films as the prettiest actresses in the world.
Yeah, and a lot of them are like currently on very popular things or have
Yes.
been like, recent big stars.
And with the way Morbius has been reviewed and like just Sony stuff in general, I'm really worried they're hoping they could put butts in seats off the popularity of the actors, and the film quality is going to suffer.
It feels like they're stacking the roster in the hopes that that will make a good film,
Yes.
even though Sony's proven many a time that they can't write a good film.
And here's the thing: Spider-Man is the most popular superhero in the world. It's not really
Yes.
up for debate. Some people try and say Batman, some people try and say Superman. They know fuck all, it's Spider-Man, and it's actually not as close as you'd even think. And what Miles and Across and Into the Spider-Verse have done, as well as the Spider-Man games, has brought more attention to like Peter Parker's supporting cast and related characters and everything around that.
Yeah.
Which means there are going to be people who are going to go, Madam Web. That's from Spider-Man. I remember seeing Madam Web in the animated cartoon when I was growing up. That's probably going to be really cool. Oh, look, they've got these actresses from all these different shows. You got your one from 50 Shades of Grey, Euphoria, bunch of other stuff. This is going to be great. And then they're going to rock up and go, that was shit.
Yeah. I also worry that did we find out if Sony tried to make Morbius part of I know it's like Venom and Morbius are in the same world. So I suppose they're keeping it separate from MCU. I worry that they're going to go with
Well,
Madam Web and
yes
be
and
like,
no, because Michael Keaton's Vulture from Homecoming was in Morbius.
yeah, but then, yeah,
No one knows. No one knows.
no.
No one
So
knows.
my worry is that
Just,
then they're
just sit here and go multiverse.
they're just going to shoehorn Madam Web into that same universe that they're trying to build, which is like, it's like they're seeing Marvel building this huge universe and they have Spider-Man in it, and they're like, damn, we just need our own we need our own universe. Let's that's where we're going wrong. We need to tie these films together. And it's like they're gonna shove a vegan Craven in there, and then they're gonna shove Madam Web,
Don't.
which is next thing you know, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, Vin Diesel's here, drifting his way through.
Family.
Um it's just
It's concerning.
it is. I really wish there was a universe where or a timeline where we can just skip to where Sony loses the rights to
And
Spider-Man.
here's the problem: the layman is not going to understand when they go and see a Madam Web or a Craven film and they get the Marvel scroll at the front because it is technically a Marvel property, even though Sony own it. They're not going to understand that it's not connected to the MCU. So when Craven is shit, you're just going to get a whole bunch of another MCU bomb trash.
Yeah.
And we're just like, no, this is look how they've massacred my boy.
Do you know what I can't wait for though? We got the Morbin time meme from Morbius. I can't wait for the Craven, like a Craven vegan meme, and then some Madam Web meme. It's just going to be a meme machine. That's all this is going to be.
The bigger problem is if this Spider Verse does really well, which it's going to,
Well, yeah.
and the live action films do really shit, the wrong people at Sony are going to start paying too much attention to the Spider Verse, and they could hurt it. Because I'm telling you right now, it's the decision makers who are fucking up these live action films. So we need them to stay away from the video games and the animated stuff. Because that's where the real fans are having a great time. Because they're like, yeah, this is good shit. And if the wrong people get over there, because that's where all the money's being made, and they have to fill their commission or whatever, we're in trouble.
I'm hoping that whatever the animation studio and that agreement over there is pretty locked up tight that people can't interfere with
I
it.
really hope so. I really, really hope
Yeah.
so. A really, really weird bit of news up next.
Yeah, a rogue bit of news here.
Yeah. The Flash director says no one would replace Ezra Miller in his sequel. This tells me one of two things.
The
That
man's
director is
delirious.
not doing the sequel, or there is no sequel at all.
I was gonna say, so I read this headline and I was like, it's bold of you to assume that the Flash doesn't die after this film.
Yeah.
Like what sequel do you think you're getting? In what world do you think James Gunn is gonna give you a sequel and
In a
let Ezra Miller be in it?
in a world where people stop being angry after something for 2 weeks, the internet is still angry at Ezra Miller.
Yeah, the internet hasn't forgotten. Yeah, we've got
No.
angry about other stuff and we might not mention it as much, but like it was such a wild hill to want to die on.
Yes. And I genuinely, with all of the positive reviews coming out about this film and about their performance and all of that, I'm just there like, what dirt does Ezra Miller have on all these people? Because
Well, it's like
either one of two things is going to happen. Either it's going to come out that Ezra Miller is the head of the Scientology religion and he has the dirt on everyone. Sorry, they have the dirt on
he's at
everyone.
the he's on the top floor. How would
Yeah.
they fucking do it?
Or we are going to see one of the most powerful acting performances of all time, and we're going to come out of the cinema weeping, going, "Let them stay! They're so talented. It doesn't
Or
matter."
third option, what the fuck is in Ezra Miller's contract that's not allowing them to say anything bad or do it? Like
Do
that
you know what I
once
mean?
this film's out, imagine if it's just like from everybody that said all this stuff, like, no, we're not getting rid of. Yeah, it's fine. We're just all 180. It's like, right, the film's out. Yeah, we're done with him. We're scrapping him. Burn him. It's why the funny thing is like that director probably said that in a random interview as a past, like someone said like future of Ezra Miller in the Flash. He's like, well, if I do a sequel, he's still like, no, I'm not replacing him. Didn't realize that like one, you riled up all the people that hate Ezra Miller. Then you riled up just the book fans that were like, imagine being Warner Brothers wanting to stand behind a man with several lawsuits against him, but then they got rid of Henry Cavill as Superman, which is like,
Well,
besides the fact
it's
that like
just
the Henry Cavill situation is like completely different, and I'm pretty sure he has this Warhammer project that like was the real reason he went away. But like he's just made it worse for themselves. Like he's just like brought up a storm of bad press again, and it's like you're not helping your own film here. It's
the
just
only thing that logically makes sense to me, which means it probably isn't the truth, is the executives have met with Ezra and they genuinely understand that he had a very severe mental break when all of this happened. And they know how hard Ezra is working on himself on their self to be better, which is why they don't want to come out and bash them because they understand how hard they're working. But to everyone else, it just looks like they're protecting someone who's got multiple criminal charges pending against them.
yeah. It's just a wild, like it was just a wild rogue comment from the director, and I think
I'm
the thing that was more rogue to me is like, bold of you to assume like you're not getting a sequel, so why? Where's this sequel idea coming from? Because James Gunn ain't giving you one.
yeah.
So yeah, it's
Talking of people reprising their roles,
hmm.
Chris Hemsworth claims he's only coming back to the MCU as Thor for a unique or special story. So I take that to mean I will not be Thor again until Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars. Leave me alone.
Well, he said something after Fall of and Thunder of similar. like context and along the lines of like he has been fine with the direction that Thor's gone, but if he's to play him again, he wants it to be in a completely new direction of like a more like he's done with the funny kind of fuck about Thor sort of like energy. Which don't get me wrong, films they had their place, they were funny. We enjoyed the Thor Love and Thunder, but like yeah, I don't think we see him before Secret Wars unless they turn around and go, right, we've got a new writer in doing Thor, and it's like this new, more serious. I don't know. But like
Yeah.
it's it's also that thing of like, look, Iron Man we said this last week, Iron Man turned 15 years old. Like a lot of these actors have been playing this character for like multiple films, in appearances and all the other ones. Like they just like, yeah, I've played Thor now for like 10 years. Don't I'm cool. I'll do something else now, which is fair enough.
Mm.
Also don't think we need four, like a four film.
I think the problem is while the character is still alive and we know he's out there saving people still, people are kind of going to want to go, what's going on with Thor?
Yeah, just call four over.
Yeah.
But
Um, but I do understand the idea of just leaving it for a while.
yeah, I
I mean,
kind of
it's like,
well,
go on.
I was gonna say I was kind of hoping there was gonna be an appearance in Loki season two of like Loki spots him, but then maybe doesn't reveal himself to him as much. But then I was like, ah, well, that's not happening now.
But like the idea of leaving a character and then coming back a long time later is one that I mean, I tweeted about it literally the other day. Christian Bale
Mm,
at the end of his Christopher Nolan trilogy
yeah,
was dead as Bruce Wayne, but we all know he escaped, or we're led to believe he escaped.
yeah,
He is now 49 years old. In
mm,
11 years, he will be 60. Quick maths. At that point, I want a live action Batman Beyond film with Christian Bale as old Bruce Wayne. What you get is you get the nostalgia for people like us
mhm,
going, fucking Batman.
yeah,
You get the ability to do Batman Beyond, which fans are begging for. And even if no one, like, even if, like, the younger generation haven't watched Chris Nolan's Batman trilogy, it doesn't particularly matter because Christian Bale's still just going to be an actor and a good
yeah.
one. So if they like, as long as you don't try and make obscene amounts of references to his time as Batman, which you shouldn't need to, you're
No,
fine. But then people will get to go, oh wait, he actually did some Batman films as Batman. Let me watch them, and it will give you even more appreciation for everything. Just leave the character alone for a while.
I agree. To be honest, you could with Thor, they've done it in the past where they're like, oh yeah, he's off world, like we can't get hold of him, like he's not. They could very easily down the road with like Secret Wars, um, we get an older, grizzled, like Thor that's like Odin age, and he's just like, okay, this shit's getting too out of control. Like I couldn't not be involved, and he's just come down and just fuck shit up as like, oh shit, because everyone, it's like we hear nothing and we just think he's gone doing the like whole Uncle Thor thing, and it's like we're okay with that. We can accept that he's off doing that now, and it's like everyone will move on and we'll get all these new characters that we're getting and everyone will become focused on the new team and all this new group of people. And then down the line in Secret Wars, if we just get Thor just fucking out of nowhere, just rocks up, everyone's gonna be like, oh shit.
Bring me Kang.
It's just like you know you can see it now. Like if they just don't touch him and there's like no teaser at anything, and it's like mid-film, there's like a little bit of static lightning, everyone's gonna be like, wait a second. Oh shit. And then it's
Pause.
just like boom, Thor's here. It's
Yeah,
like,
100%.
oh, so yeah, let
Oh,
Chris Hemsworth go
100%.
off, do his own thing for a bit, bring him back
Yeah,
down the line.
he's got the really really popular Netflix original film
Yeah,
Extraction 2 coming out. And apparently Extraction 3 is already in the way. Let him go do his thing for a little while, then he can come back. when
Yeah.
we really need him. Um, Talking MCU films.
Mm.
Apparently, it's been announced. I mean, I don't know if this will be MCU. It's probably Sony, which might make it a little bit scarier. Apparently, a live action Miles film is being worked on.
I
Yeah, daddy.
hope it's MCU.
I pray.
I pray. And I hope that although Sony's doing all this other shit with their own little mini Spider Verse, whatever the fuck they're making, um, I trust that they're not that delusional that they can't see the success they've had with Spider-Man in the MCU and with Tom Holland. Like they've come to realize like the success that that's given them. And it's like, okay, hopefully for a character like Miles, they understand, I hope they understand the weight of that character and the importance, and that like to allow that to be part of the MCU and that bigger thing is like plays so much bigger into their hand in terms of making them money, but also just for the whole use of that character. Like it'd just be such a better use.
What I need them to do is spend 2 or 3 years working on the script, and then in 2025, they find a 13-year-old black boy so that we get a proper young Miles,
Mm.
and they do it proper.
I have one request.
Go on.
Donald Glover has to be his uncle
Yeah, 100%.
because they've made that establishment already.
Yeah.
So if like in another like because of who knows, we're not gonna get like Miles Morales film probably for a few years. Donald Glover's a little bit older then. Starting
Yeah,
to
100%. Make the Prowler like the antagonist of the first film. Fuck it, let's do it. Donald Glover's the Prowler. Yes, give it to me. I'm still upset that Donald Glover never got a chance as Spider-Man. Let him at least be involved.
well, yeah,
Let
that's the
let him
thing.
give us some.
We understand that he is getting too old now. And it's like,
Unless they want to do like an old man Miles story, which would be kind of fun.
yeah. Like just wait. It's like they do a bit of time hopping and they go into the future and it's just an old man Miles and
Yeah,
it's just Donald Glover.
just wait for Donald Glover to finish a Community film, 6 seasons and a movie.
Yeah.
And then we can start working it out, because I'm telling you, it's going to be so good.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 4,
Mm,
in the MCU.
yes.
It's still in development, but it is being delayed, will be delayed, has already been delayed due to Writers Guild of America strikes, as
Yeah.
well as the Batman Part 2 being
Mm,
delayed due
yes.
to Writers Guild of America strikes.
Now, with Spider-Man, I imagine with them saying like development still going on, there's a lot more than like just writing goes on to pre-production and development. So that stuff can all kind of carry on with costume making, prop design, all that. That stuff's probably still going ahead, delayed, but because they don't want to start without writers, which is a good like. I'm glad that we're seeing both Batman 2, which means good job Matt Reeves, and we're seeing Spider-Man 4 are accepting delays and not trying to force through this stuff, and shows that hopefully with like Spider-Man for the rest of the MCU, hopefully that becomes like across the board. Deadpool, we're looking at you. Just stop. Just pause. Stop trying to force it. Um, hope
I think
hopefully this is good signs for MCU and DCU.
I think we should take note of what productions are smart enough to realize they need to delay,
Mm.
and what productions think they can do it without the writers. And then we will know what to be surprised and what not to be surprised about when certain films shit the bed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying there won't be some films that pause and end up being shit, and I'm not saying there aren't some films that won't pause and end up still being good. But a lot of them will follow this pattern of, oh, they didn't delay, that film was not as
Mm-hmm.
good as it should have been. They did delay, that film was as good as it should have been. At the end of the day, support unions, support workers.
Yeah, just
Like I'm not even talking to like Hollywood, not that Hollywood listens to the podcast or Hollywood is an individual person,
you never know.
but as individual people, corporations don't give a fuck about us other than our spending power.
Mhm.
So you never know when you might be in a union or you might need a union to fight for you. So back a union when it's striking and trust that they are just trying to look after themselves and
Yeah.
that you support them. There is basically no time ever that a union or the workers of a union have been trying to screw over a normal person or screw over anyone. They just don't want to be the one getting screwed over.
Yeah.
And I
Exactly.
don't think that's too much to ask.
And I hope some of those films that are trying to push through, it wouldn't surprise me if some of them then become delayed because they get through a process, they're looking back through it and they go, hang on, this isn't working. Pause, we're gonna have to
Reshoots, reshoots, reshoots.
yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if in 6 months' time to a year, like we're hearing about, oh, so and so's reshooting stuff. Like they're back in for reshoots because they tried pushing through. So yeah. Like you say, stand with the strikes. They're doing it from the right place and they're trying to better those people's lives.
Yeah,
Um and it means better content for us.
it will. It will do. Shall we move on to the content?
Blah, 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 blah.
La, 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 la.